Trump in Waco, Texas, I want to start with that because his attacks against DeSantis are savage attacks. They're not gentlemanly sparring. It's not gentlemanly sparring. It's not Trump saying, well, let me show you what the difference between me and DeSantis is so that you can choose for yourself who you like better. No, he's trying to destroy DeSantis, and this is what he said. Take a listen.
When a man comes to me, tears in his eyes, he's at almost nothing in the polls. And he's fighting somebody that's at 42, and he's got almost $30 million in the bank. He's at almost nothing. He's got no cash. And I said, I can't give you an endorsement. There's no way you can win. You're dead. But he fought a little bit, like 150. He was certainly no Jim Jordan, that I can tell you. He fought a little bit, just a little bit, on impeachment hoax number 1, impeachment hoax number 2, meaning on television, because I didn't know him very well. But I saw him, so he came and he really wanted. I said, you can't win, can you? How do you can win? Sir, if you endorse me, I'll win. Please. Please, sir, endorse me. And I said, all right, let's give it a shot, because honestly, the Secretary of Agriculture, Adam Putnam, good man, but I never met him. I didn't know him, so I don't feel guilty about it. You know, if you don't know somebody. I wish I knew him, actually. You want to know the truth, I wouldn't have done this. So what happened is, I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. And I endorsed him, and he became like a rocket ship. Within one day, the race was over. He got the nomination.
Okay, so those are not new attacks, right? These have been attacks that Trump has been levying against DeSantis over on Truth Social for several weeks now, maybe the past month and a half. But what's different about this time is the people standing behind Trump. Trump rallies are notoriously raucous events. They're high-energy events. Trump interacts with the audience. This is not going to an academic speech. This is something you participate in when you go to a Trump rally. Usually, people at Trump rallies, when Trump says something they like, they cheer, they scream, they get into it. But that crowd, did you see how uncomfortable that crowd was? Read the body language. The body language of the people standing behind Trump, they started kind of shrinking into themselves. They were holding their hands crossed in front of them, which is a defensive posture. Some of the guys tilted their chins down and in a submissive way and started fiddling with their hats. Very still. No sounds, just discomfort. That is something, it'll be interesting to see if Trump picks up on this, because one of his strengths when he was on the campaign trail in 2015 and 2016 was reading his crowd. He actually tested a lot of his policy material on rally crowds. And if they liked it, he ran with it. If they didn't like it, he tweaked it, rolled it out again. He did this with names, insults, the name calling that he did, labeling other people, his opponents, with these funny nicknames. He tried those out at rallies to see how people responded to it. But he's not reading this crowd. And the reason for that, right before he goes into these attacks on DeSantis, he actually admitted that his advisors and the people around him keep telling him, sir, it's not a good idea to do this. It's not really a good idea to keep being so negative about DeSantis. Don't be obsessive about it. And he said he doesn't care about that advice because he's a loyalty guy. He said, I'm a loyal guy, and when someone's not loyal to me, he let the sentence trail off, but it's pretty clear what you and I can see, that he can't let that go. And I have some advice for President Trump on what he should do if he wants to beat DeSantis. Now, I'm not on Team DeSantis. I'm not on Team Trump. You guys know that I don't like any politician. I will vote Republican, and I will vote in the primary, and we'll talk about that when it's a lot closer to it. But I fundamentally distrust and am very critical of every single politician that lives, and I encourage you to come on over on my team on this. It's way more fun to analyze politics when you don't feel this personal loyalty that Trump talks about, when you can just step back and be like, well, wait a second, I'm not like on your team. I'm on the team of these principles. I'm on the team of our country, and I want to hire a politician who will help advance my political agenda the best, who will do it the most effectively, who will actually win. And then it's obviously a lot easier to be in this position when politicians are not trustworthy and politicians are who politicians are. But we will have some advice for Trump in just a minute. But DeSantis responded for the very first time. Piers Morgan asked him in this interview, are you running for president? DeSantis said the same thing politicians always say, which, by the way, may be the only thing that DeSantis said that is not true in this interview. He said, we haven't made a decision yet. We will make a decision shortly, but we haven't. Let me just come on record here and say that is not true. Running for president is not something that you decide the day before you announce. It's not something you decide the week before you announce. It's not something you decide the month before you announce. If you're running for president of the United States in modern America, you have made that decision or made it 99% of the way, probably 2 years in advance. You have to build up an apparatus for running for president. You have to glad hand donors. You have to build up your political capital. You have to write a book. You have to increase your name recognition. You have to plan what your agenda is. And this is a ton of work. It's an insane amount of work if you are a candidate that's actually presenting policy ideas and going to address on your website and on the campaign trail actual problems with the US government. So this is not something that you decided at the last second. So I did laugh when I heard DeSantis say, oh, we haven't made a decision on that. Of course he has. Of course he has, and of course he's going to run. He's just waiting to announce until it's much closer to the first primary debate. He wants it to be on his terms, which is fine. It's fine, but just a little behind the scenes here. You don't make a decision about that at the last second. Every single person who's running for the Republican nomination for president in 2024, every single one of them already knows whether they are going to. They've already made that decision. They just have not announced it yet if they are going to. So DeSantis did address, Piers Morgan asked him about Trump's insults and how Trump is attacking him, and this is how DeSantis responded. Take a listen.
What are the differences between you? Well, I know I know him very well. Having now spent time with you, I could immediately identify a few differences. But what do you think are the differences?
Well, I mean, I think there's a few things. I mean, obviously, the approach to COVID was different. I mean, I would have fired somebody like Fauci. I think that he got way too big for his britches, and I think he did a lot of damage. I also think just in terms of my approach to leadership, I get personnel in the government who have the agenda of the people and share our agenda. If you bring your own agenda in, you're gone. We're just not going to have that. So the way we run the government, I think, is no daily drama, focus on the big picture, and put points on the board. And I think that that's something that's very important.
Hi guys, it's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.